Hi, everybody at home. I hope you can hear the music because there isn't one soul in here that even knows who sings this song. I would have to say that their rock history is very poor. All of your parents should know this song. I grew up with this music. It's a tribute to a man who died yesterday. It has nothing to do with our curriculum.
Oh, Evan.
Yes! Why would you not guess that?
I was thinking about it. It's all the tip of my mind.
You guys, seriously, 80s girl, this is the stuff we grew up with. And I remember calling into the radio station being like, can you play this song again? Because we didn't have access to playing music all the time. Oh my God, just listen to that. Just listen.
No, I know this song.
Come on. We're playing them all day today, peeps. Playing them all day. Wonder if Courtney is here. She was? Okay, she might be just running a little late. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you something that happened to me yesterday. I am not lying. So you know how like in your house you kind of know where things are without like, hey Courtney, you kind of know where things are, you're good, without like, you just know where placement of stuff is. Like when I walk in here, if it was completely dark, I would still know exactly where things are. I knew that I put that overhead projector right there, right? So we have a garage gym, and we've been letting a couple people use the garage gym. And yesterday somebody came over at lunchtime to use the gym, and they left the equipment out. And I went down after school yesterday. I walked out my basement into the garage. It's fairly dark. I turned to see where my dogs are. I literally went like this, and I knew where I was at because you know placement. Frickin' they left the barbell, 45-pound steel barbell, on the rack. So as I turned, I literally went full force, boom, knocked me on my butt, not lying, completely on my butt. Nobody's home. My kids are all gone. They're all moved out. My husband is out of town working. And I was so I sat up and I'm like, ow. And then blood is gushing, dripping, like dripping. And I'm like, oh my God. So I get up and I go to our downstairs basement sink and I just apply pressure. I'm waiting to see like this crazy, like cracking of my head open. And when I finally got the bleeding to stop, it was just this little mark up here. I took a picture of the blood all over because I knew no one would believe me of how bad it was bleeding. Well, it's still very sensitive, very sore right here. I'm thinking it's probably going to bruise black and blue.
When was this?
Last night!
Really?
Okay, here's the crazy thing. This is how I am. So I go to bed by myself, nobody's home, talking to my dogs, out loud verbally talking to my dogs. And I said, okay, if I die tonight, because I didn't know if I had like some internal bleeding or anything. It whacked me on my butt. Like I couldn't believe I didn't get a concussion, nothing.
I mean, you could.
I could have. And I thought, I might die tonight. Like, I might not. So I said, if I die tonight, this is what I said to my dogs, if I die tonight, I feel like I've died a complete person. I've completed my life. That's okay. I wake up in the morning. I set my alarm goes off. I'm like, oh, you're still here. Okay, let's go on with our day. Boink. It hurts so bad, you guys. Oh my God. And just last week, my daughter came home from college. She was shutting the hood of our trunk, and I happened to be getting something out of the trunk. She freaking shut the hood of the trunk on my head. I am gonna have serious problems up here. Like, I don't know how this, I need to just walk around with a helmet on.
Taking more hits than football players, though.
I need to walk around with a helmet.
Really sick for.
I guess so.
I dove into like a 3-foot area once, and I was so scared. I hit my head like the very top on the bottom of the pool, and it just like, I heard the noise and it felt like it was so loud. And I got out and like I was fine, and I was standing and I was like, wow, I just hit my head so hard at the bottom of the pool, like I I really thought I was going to die.
You do think about like how hard somebody has to actually make contact before you concuss or pass out, or, I mean, it was, okay, I know it had nothing to do with class, but I had to share it with you. I'm like, they're going to just think I've lost
Maybe
it.
it did. Did it hurt really bad?
Frick yeah, it hurt really bad.
Oh, I was going to say maybe your endorphins numbed the pain.
Oh, no, but I'd say my sympathetic nervous system kicked in quite a bit. Emergency. All right, guys, let's talk about your homework. So, some of you may or may not have finished the walk-up song. My Ace, you guys are A students. B students have to get that done by tomorrow, for sure. We're going to actually listen to our walk-up songs. Obviously, I can't listen to your walk-up songs. If you have them, I will take them. You can set them in the center aisle. So that was one thing. If you don't have it done, I'll take it on Monday, but not for those of you at home. I need that tomorrow, so make sure you guys get that done. I have a scissors. Would you like a scissors?
Yeah, I'll take it too.
Nicholas. So that's one thing, and that's going to be graded. Obviously, it's more of just like, hey, how did you connect it? So I not only want to see the lyrics, I need you to tell me, like, well, I chose this part of the song because it's connected to the hormone or neurotransmitter this way. I also need you to do that hormone neurotransmitter chart. We are going to go over that tomorrow in class. So at home, make sure you get that done. You guys aren't going to be in class tomorrow. If we have some time today, we'll begin that. If you, it's just a really good idea. It's not graded or anything, but it's a good idea for yourself to actually know. And as I mentioned the other day, those neurotransmitters that are on the board that you guys all have on your charts there, they are a potential for your FRQ. So you want to make sure you know the purpose of each of those. The last thing that I want to point out to you, and this does not apply to my B students at home, this is just for my A students in class. You have another assignment. If you're kind of wondering why we get an assignment and they're not, because they're going to get something on Friday that you're not going to do. So it will all even out because you guys don't have school on Friday. This is the last day I see you until Monday. So the page I'd like you to turn to is blue, I believe. It's the first blue, yep, the first blue sheet. On the back of that blue sheet, you're going to see a bracket that looks like something out of like an athletic event or something like that, where if you played sports, you know what those brackets look like. I'm going to assign each of you one of those words. If you guys could go ahead and just circle it for me so you know which one you need to do. So 1, 4, 5, 8, and then you can do 2, and I will do 7 for us. Okay, so if you flip it back to the previous page, I'm going to explain to you guys what I need you to do by Monday. This is the other piece that's going to be graded. I'm going to give you some points. But you want to make sure you're done. You guys are going to have kind of like a debate, a standoff with the person that you're going up against in your bracket. And you're going to stand there and tell them why you think your brain part, that region, is better than their brain part. That's it in a nutshell. Got me? So what you need to do for number 1 is you first need to figure out, well, what does that brain region do? Okay? So you're just going to put down 3 major things it's responsible of doing. The second one, you need to come up with your opponent. You need to figure out who you could potentially going up against. So if you look at the bracket, you can see the first round, who you will be going up against. The second round, if those people win, who you could be going up against. Are you following me here? So for number 2, what I want you to do is I want you to figure out what do each of those do. So that when you guys develop number 3, you can actually have an argument to say, well, yeah, sure, your brain part helps us see, but without my brain part, we wouldn't be doing ... So you want to come up with kind of like that mic drop moment where you can be like, good for you that your brain part does this, but mine is better because of this reason. Okay? Yes.
You have to come up with stuff for the bottom one then, since no one's doing it.
So you would theoretically, so the last two, we'll just go over those in class, but we won't be having a debate about that. So, like, what are you, Brian? Wernicke's area. So you go motor cortex and then these two here. So that's who you could be going up against right away. Okay? How are we doing? Any questions, anyone? So if you guys come to class on Monday and you don't have that done, it'll make it very, very difficult for us to have an argument based. And it's just it's not very long. It's not like you're going to be standing up here for 20 minutes debating about one brain part, but it's just a very quick, nice, like, reference check to where are we at and do we understand these brain parts. Any questions? Okay, and then of course you have a reading too. You always have a reading. So, all right. So let's just quickly chat, wrap up, just review, and ask you guys if you have any questions about this from yesterday. So yesterday I had the students actually draw these. If you didn't have an opportunity to do that, I would strongly recommend that you do. We were showing the students that this is your actual receptor site. The blue is the neurotransmitter. The green and the brown is an artificial drug that you either receive from a doctor or a street drug. If it is close enough and it's going to fake your brain out, it's called an agonist drug. If it's not close enough, it's going to be called an antagonist drug. The key buzzwords are here for our agonist drug. I also talked about excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters. That should be a review for you. So this would be considered more of an excitatory neurotransmitter because the message is going on. And then finally, last but not least, here are the 7 neurotransmitters that are also listed on that chart that you need to know for your FRQ. Yes, Court.
So are antagonists and agonists neurotransmitters, or are neurotransmitters just like naturally produced in us?
Neurotransmitters are naturally produced. These are the artificial drugs.
So that would be something that you have to ingest.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because, like,
yep.
Antagonists are inhibitory, so that's kind of confusing.
Mm-hmm. But you can have a neurotransmitter that's inhibitory, and you can also have a street drug or medicine that is an inhibitory too. It's like your pharmaceutical 101 here, which is like 2 minutes. So if any of you are going into that field, this is going to be something you really get hit pretty hard with. I was telling the students yesterday, I was at the allergy doctor, and I was waiting for the doctor to come in, and the door was shut, and he had on the back of the door like all the medicines to take for allergies and stuff. And I'm not lying, behind it said agonist, it said excitatory, inhibitory. And then it went on to the actual agonist and antagonist drugs that you could actually take that they would give you. I'm like, damn, look at these words. They're everywhere, you know. Otherwise, I would have been just like oblivious. So today, let's go through this. That's our goal for today. I believe it's the first gold sheet that you have there. You've got it open. My drawing looks a little bit different than yours. For those of you at home, I will keep this up for tomorrow. I know the board is always very difficult to see. I'm going to go over and shut these drapes. I always kind of forget to do that. One of the things that I would like to make sure you do is if you look at the back side of that gold sheet, that chart isn't correct. You can either cross it out and redo it or just edit it. The correct chart is in the pink or / purple green over here to the side. So take a second, use a marker if you need to, or just your own pen to either cross out or just, some people actually just rewrote it. Okay? So the central nervous system is the same. Your central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. That exists. But where that chart went wrong, and I apologize, is the peripheral nervous system. Underneath, those are some just checking for understanding questions that you can feel like if you have some time, you could answer those. But the peripheral nervous system should be at the very top. And now here's where the chart went incorrect. We need 2 divisions that come off the PNS. The 2 divisions are your somatic and autonomic. Not automatic, but autonomic. A little bit less of a glare, hopefully, for the people at home, the folks at home. Although these blinds, oh, this is on video. I didn't really mean to do that, taxpayers. Oh my gosh. Today, I'm trying to shut them all away. Ah! If anybody wants a good humorous video, watch Mrs. Warner trying to shut the blinds. Frick. There, I think I got most of it. Gosh, dang it. Okay, hello at home. Okay, guys, so peripheral nervous system, think about just, I've talked to you guys about the word peripheral before. You know, central nervous system, center, our brain and our spinal cord. Peripheral is everything on the outside. Somatic is our voluntary control. Make sure you include that. Autonomic, I always remember what autonomic does because of the word automatic. This automatically happens in our body. This is outside our conscious control. College Board, as well as your test for your classroom, loves the term SNS and PSNS, sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Just circle or remind yourself that you make sure you have a good distinction between those two. Tomorrow I'm going to talk to the classes about that as well. Today I would like us to focus on the somatic voluntary side. So that's where the chart comes in from the previous page. So feel free at home, and you guys too, to edit that chart, highlight any of the words that are pretty important. Most of the time when I teach and I have colors going on, the colors don't mean anything. It's just kind of make things stand out. Today the colors actually mean something. The end of my discussion, I asked last period, hey, who has any questions? And it was great because I had two students that asked two good clarifying questions. They were so confused after I was talking. So please, 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 you guys make sure you ask those questions. Yep.
Do the colors mean something over here?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I just kind of
Did it?
separate things.
Yep, you're good. Okay, so we've got, as Nick was saying, he had this happen to him where he stepped on a nail. So not good memories for Nick at all. So what happens when you step on that nail? What we are trying to show you right now, in case you're wondering why we are talking about this, is at the bottom of the board in black, how fast does our information travel through our nervous system? Come on. Come on. Pretty darn fast. It is. It's really fast. So what happens is the foot steps on the nail, and our receptor cells are going to pick that up immediately. We're going to break this down so it sounds like it happens over a really long period of time, and it's actually very, very fast. So the stimulus is the nail. Now here's where I have, and if you guys are sitting in a spot where you can't see because there might be a glare, feel free to move. But I have a green line coming out of your foot, okay? That green line represents the sensory neurons. That's why I made it green. Because the sensory neurons are going to travel that information that they just received from those receptor cells. They're going to take that information to the appropriate area. Our sensory neurons will send that information on a one-way street. Make sure you know that. They never can go down and back up again. They can only go one way. That's it.
Afferent.
So another word for sensory neurons is afferent. You need to know that too. It's A-F-F-E-R-E-N-T. I have it written right here as well. Afferent. Again, if you need to move, please feel free to do so. So it's going to carry the message to either the spinal cord or the brain or both, or one of the two. okay? And that message needs to be received by one of those central nervous system parts to be able to interpret, what are we going to do with this message? So that's the traveling of our neuron. When your book talks about the number one area in your body that has the most amount of sensory neurons, and that would be your lips. And if you think about it, if you enjoy kissing, there might be a reason why you enjoy kissing, because there's so many sensory neurons and it's very sensitive to us. You also are laden with sensory neurons. You have them all over our bodies, not our brain or spinal cord, but you have them throughout our rest of our body, and some of our body parts have more sensory neurons than others. So it would be like our private areas that are very sensitive, a lot of sensory neurons. Things like my big old thigh here doesn't have as many, and you can tell, like, if I got hit in the thigh, it's not going to be nearly as sensitive as another area of our body. Fingertips have a lot more sensory neurons. We're going to talk about that in a couple days when we talk about, have you heard the homunculus man? He's a scientific man that doesn't really exist. He looks like this grotesque figure that has like big areas and small areas of his body. You'll see it. Yep, Court?
So are taste buds, like on your tongue, is that a lot of sensory neurons, or are they different types?
They're different. It's a receptor cell.
Okay.
Yep. And actually, during our sensation and perception unit, we talk about those taste buds. And the gustatory system is what that's called. So that's kind of interesting. And it's kind of a fun unit, too, because we get to eat some things and taste things. So, okay. So that's our sensory neuron. You understand why I drew it green, right? So it's an afferent neuron. You'll see both of those terms used interchangeably. In this case, it's going to hit our spinal cord. The spinal cord is where your interneurons are located. That's why I made that purple, because purple over here. The interneurons are only located in the brain and the spinal cord. They are not located anyplace else. I would also include in your writing that this is considered the middleman. The middleman is what actually, like if you think about that, the middleman economically, the middleman isn't always a good thing. The middleman kind of slows the system down with paperwork and gives you kind of an upcharge on their services and things like that. You could also think of interneurons like the one, maybe Ann and I are good friends, and I hate Nick. But Nick and Ann are friends. And I want Ann to tell Nick something because I can't talk to Nick because I don't like Nick, right? So Ann becomes my middleman to have a conversation with Nick about whatever I want to say. You need to know it this way, you guys. Inner neurons will communicate with both sensory and motor, but sensory and motor never communicate with the inner neuron. So the order of operations, if you want to say it, goes sensory neuron to interneuron to our motor neuron. That's the correct order. We'll demonstrate that in a little bit. So the sensory neurons that are green communicating with the purple interneurons. I also underlined the word process. That's the job of the inner neuron. It's to process, what the heck do you want me to do? Sometimes it's purely reflexive, like in this case. You stepped on a nail, reflexively you're going to pull your foot up. You don't need to stop and go, oh, what should I do now with my foot, right? You didn't? I'm sure you were like, crap, that really hurt. Kind of like me last night, falling over, boom. Oh, you guys, still hurts. Okay, so, but sometimes the inner neurons need to work, and you need to say to yourself, ooh, what would I do here in this situation? Okay, and then it's going to the brain. It's not just going to the spinal cord, it would be going to the brain. From the inner neurons, you have a message that is blue. The blue turns into our motor neurons. Our motor neurons are also only on a one-way street. Efferent is motor. E-F-F-E-R-E-N-T. The word is also written over here, efferent neurons. One-way street, just like our afferent neurons. You can't go back down the other way. So the middleman receives the message. Ann got the message. She's going to tell Nick. If Nick was over here, she could actually go back and forth, but we couldn't do that. We can only give the message in one direction. In addition, you should know that the efferent neurons I always remember it by thinking it starts with the letter E, and I think of it's an exiting. It's a neuron that's going to exit, tell us what to do. It's like the end point, telling you what to do on the final destination. Another key thing that might help you remember afferent and efferent is here. Same. Everything goes in the same order. S-I-M. This order never changes, right? So how can I remember afferent and efferent? Sensory neurons are afferent neurons. Motor neurons are efferent neurons. It's always the same. Those never change. Questions at this time? Like I said, a couple kids last period had a couple really good clarifying questions. And you don't have to, but I just want to look at what you wrote down, reread it, process it a little bit. Yeah, Court.
Well, in my notes, I did a note
Yeah.
page
For this section.
this section of reading,
Mm-hmm.
and I did a tiny little XY graph of the sensory, motor, and interneurons.
Yeah.
But
Does it make sense after I'm talking, or is it different?
I don't know. It's sensory neurons. I had on the x-axis is the independent variable, and then I had motor neurons on the y-axis, and then I had interneurons on the inside. But that's not really how it would work mathematically.
Yeah. So you're trying to graph it out for more of a visual, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Probably not.
I think it kind of makes sense.
But if you know what, here's the thing, and I will be sharing with you guys, as you've already noticed throughout the year so far. Well, this works for me. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, just ignore what I just said, right? So if that works for you in your brain, great. I do know the one thing that was kind of interesting on those lines. My daughter went to vet school, and the amount of memorization that's taking place in medical school is what it is. And she was telling me, Mom, do you know how many mnemonics I'm using to try to memorize all of these pieces and parts? And I'm like, they work though. And she's like, yep, you should hear some of the crazy ones I come up with. And other people would be like, that's crazy. It doesn't work for me. But if it works for you, Courtney, it works for you. All right. Well, let's demonstrate this, guys. We're going to go onto this side of the room. That's why I kept you all over here. What we are going to do is we're going to try to test and see how fast does the information travel from one point throughout our nervous system to another point. So you have three choices. You cannot participate because of COVID, and you just don't want to because of COVID, and no judgment at all. That's totally fine. You can wear gloves, or you can actually just use the hand sanitizer when we're done. You're going to be squeezing the person's shoulder in front of you, and then you're going to be squeezing their ankle as well. So that's what you're going to be doing. So you guys decide, come on over to this side of the room, and let's do the activity. We need to get in a circle. Okay, so you guys get in a circle. I'm going to participate too. I'll be a member of our circle. I'm going to move this so everybody at home can see us. Now it's your chance to say hello, Nick.
It's avoiding me.
That's because it's following me. I'm going to put it right here. Smile. Everybody say hi.
Say hi, Brian.
Shout out Taylor.
You weirdo. All right, friends. Okay, so we're going to turn where we're one arm length apart. So you'll have to probably. Yeah. You got to get closer. And we will not be this way for longer than 15 minutes. Okay. Because of COVID. Just say things like that. Put your hand on there. Okay. You got to come in.
On the
Okay.
outside shoulder or the inside one?
The right shoulder.
The right one.
Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to squeeze the shoulder in front of us. And when you get the squeeze, you squeeze the person in front of you.
Who's starting?
I am.
Oh.
Okay, good. That's what we're going to do. Understand? All right, let me get the timer. We are going to time it and see how long it takes us. Your eyes are going to be closed. When we have large classes, our circle can get really big. We have a small class. Well, I was going to take a picture. I didn't want to take a picture of you guys. Reset. Okay, ready? Eyes closed. 141. I think we can go
Keep
faster.
forgetting what we're doing.
I close my eyes. I'm like, what?
Close your eyes. 0.73. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, that's the first one. Remember that number, okay? Let's grab the mats and set them down so we don't sit on the floor. Everybody just grab a mat. They're over there. Kind of just overlap them into a circle so that we can form a circle. We don't need that one, Courtney. This class is small. Okay, now you're going to sit down. Here, push it this way toward me. Yep. Okay. Sit down, everybody. And then put your right foot in front of stopwatch. Reset. Okay. We gotta get closer. You gotta touch my ankle. Does that make sense? Yeah. Turn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're gonna grab the ankle behind you.
Okay, so I'll put your right ankle in. Right ankle right here.
Oh. Well.
I think.
No, you. No.
Oh, outside.
Is it outside?
Yeah. Yeah. So like right here. Hello, we're down here. Can you see us? Crud.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah. Hello, we're here. Okay. All right, let's practice. You still can't see our ankles. Come here, ankle. All right. All right, everybody. I'll start it again. We'll practice.
Wait a second. We're going backwards this time?
Yeah, you have to. Practice again. Practice again. Here we go. Okay, now here we go. Close our eyes. Close our eyes, close our eyes. 101. What was our first fastest time?
0.7.
Here we go. One more time. 101. All right.
Takes longer because your ankle's farther away from your spine. And
Yes! Yes! Did you hear her? Did you hear her? That's a smart cookie right there, I would say. All right. Yoga mats off to the side. For the third one, we're going to see what our times are. Okay. Come on. Middle, go in the circle again. Both hands this time on your partner in front of you. Did you say let's pray? Okay, here we go.
Like on the shoulder?
Yeah. Okay, now this time, whatever shoulder I squeeze of you, you squeeze the opposite shoulder.
Squeeze the
Oh,
opposite.
dang. Okay.
It's like
Let's
telephone.
practice. Okay, let's time it.
Brian's pressing around.
wait, can you move
So
it
to press the
away
opposite
now?
one?
Yeah.
Right? It's over
Let's time it and close eyes.
And Miss Warner, can you move in too?
I can't move it anymore. I gotta do this.
Why?
Turn. Are we good?
I think so.
We are so not following COVID protocol. Okay, here we go. Oh, I screwed up.
Ouch, Nick.
there. This is collarbone.
Try again. Close eyes. Close eyes.
Squeeze it real hard.
You've got your hair is everywhere.
I'm sorry.
It's Brian's fault.
198. 1.98. Again. 168. All right. What are our numbers? First,
0.75.
and then floor with the ankles.
101. Or
It's
1.01.
It's 0.73, 1.01, and
1.68. Last one. Get a phone. Get your phone at home. Well, maybe not, but just watch.
Bring up the old time.
No. You are going to call someone. So think of someone you got to talk to them, or at least their voicemail.
Talk to anyone? No.
Your mother, your father.
What do you even say?
Hi, I am wanting spaghetti and meatballs tonight for dinner. I don't know. Talk to them about anything. Okay, peeps. So this is how this is going to work. When I say go, you're all going to push.
Oh.
You're all going to call the person. We're going to do the very first one that we did. So I'm going to squeeze. Everybody has to have your right arm on the person in front of you. I'll squeeze, and we'll continue the chain. But we're all, while we are talking, we are continuing the chain.
Jackson.
Does that make sense? Everybody understand? So you got to call. You got to call right now.
Right now?
Right
You gotta wait.
now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Put them on speaker.
No.
See if you can pick
Last
that.
time we weren't. Oh, there it goes.
I'm gonna wait till y'all start talking. We're calling you at home right now.
Hey, we're in
Are you
AP
in a
Psych
meeting?
right now doing stuff.
Are you in a meeting right
Yeah,
now?
we're doing an experiment. And I have to call you for this experiment.
Oh, okay. Well, can
It's on
you talk
reaction
and do the
time.
stair
Should I call
stepper
someone
at
else?
the
Can't
same
tell.
time?
Hello?
Just talk to me about random stuff.
Hello?
Jackson's not speaking.
We're in
How's it
psych
going, buddy?
and we're trying to do
Okay, well,
something.
what
We
did
don't
you
have
do
time
today?
for this.
Owen, you sound
We're
like you're in a
measuring
fishbowl.
reaction
She's at home
times,
doing nothing.
And all of
I'm
us
just
are
gonna voice
talking on
consult
the phone
sorry.
to someone else. And we're
What'd
supposed
you
to
say?
squeeze the
Keep
person
going.
over
He
our
wouldn't pick
shoulder.
up when I
Keep
called
going.
My shoulder squeezed yet.
We haven't squeezed yet. We're waiting for
Well,
Ann.
We have
They're
to do
waiting
Yeah, you are.
And to
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
We're in psych right now, Mr. Mullen.
No,
Hey,
you're not on speakerphone.
We're,
oh,
we're doing a little...
okay, bye, Dad.
Okay, we
Bye, Dad. Bye, Dad.
I'll see you later.
That did not work as well because Miss Ann couldn't talk to anybody. Mr. Brian couldn't talk. How do you not have any friends to
My
call?
mom's at work.
How about your virtual friends are all at home?
My friends have the same day as me.
Owen's climbing the
Did you not get like a machine?
No.
No machine? Brian, what happened to yours?
What? Jackson's not picking up.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't it go right into a machine?
No.
It's
All right.
like they're not set up.
Here's our score. With two people, this is with two people not even talking, the two of you. Okay? All right, so now let's sit down and chat about why. And you were exactly right, okay? So let's sit down and chat about that.
My dad was on a stair stepper.
Bah!
So I felt they woke my mom up.
She's sleeping? Oh, God. All right, guys. Friends, explain as if you were writing an FRQ and you actually had to explain with the terminology that I just gave you what happened.
Because of the reaction times were different in our experiments because our afferent neurons in our ankles are farther away from our interneurons, which generate the response of the motor neurons.
You are very good. That is very good. I love how you use the afferent inter. And one of the biggest reasons why your ankle time was slower is exactly as you stated when we were in the circle. That sensory neuron is a lot further away than just the very first one was just the shoulder. Okay? That's not going to take it very long to get there. I know it sounds like we're splicing hairs, but isn't it kind of cool how science can actually measure our thought process and our behavior in time? We went from this being fairly fast to this being slower to this being even slower. Brian, give me the reason why the double fist was even slower than the ankle.
Because they're having longer to, like the interneurons were trying to process what's happening.
The interneurons had to process what was happening, which took it longer to do so. Finally, Nick, why the heck are phones?
Because it just doesn't work. You can't find somebody to call up.
And we're
No, Nick. If this was an essay question, and you had to say why the reaction time was, you guys notice how much slower. What was the very first one? Did we say with just this?
0.75.
Huh? 0.75. And then what did I show you the phone at the very end? What was it? It was 3 something, right? And we did the exact same movement. The only difference was I was on the
We're
phone.
doing like 19 things. We're trying to uphold the
because
conversation.
Brian and
Okay, but we got to use that terminology.
On.
because we had
Shh.
Let's see here. So the afferent ones are with the sensory neurons, right?
They are.
So our afferent neurons had to focus on 2 different sources of stimulus. So our interneurons had more information to process and then made a slower reaction time.
It did.
Motor neurons.
It did. Yep, that's exactly it. Why don't we grab some hand sanitizer? Probably should have had us do that before we sat down. Just if you could give yourself a small little pump after touching each other, that was probably the best practice. I appreciate you all trying that. Hopefully at home you understood how the speed is quicker from here versus that ankle. 3rd hour, 4th hour. Yep, we just have a couple minutes. This has nothing really to do with the content, but it has something to do with what we just did there. The last one, everybody, all experts and adults have always told you you should never be on the phone and drive at the same time. I am sorry to say, I should probably shut this off. I do that. And I know it's wrong. I'm not even going to try to justify it. Like, I know it's wrong. Do we have proof when all of us say, does anybody else do it when you're driving? Never? Brian, you're a never talk on the phone while you're driving. Never, ever, ever. Damn, you guys are good. And
I don't think so.
what? You know if you do or not.
I've texted on my phone, but I don't call and talk to someone on my phone.
So you text while you're driving. That's talking on your phone, and
Yeah, no, that's
that's still, oh my
I
gosh.
thought you meant like this.
yeah, that's what I
Okay, how many of you text while you're driving? Or talk on it?
I feel like texting is even worse than just talking.
I do too. Okay, me too. Okay, I'm not raising my hand like I'm so super proud of it, but what does that little demonstration show us?
cognitive dissonance.
No! Based on what you just learned, the speed of me squeezing without the phone versus me squeezing with the phone. Split seconds, right? But difference.
It's impossible. When you are multitasking, you're not actually multitasking. Your brain needs to switch back and forth between 2 actions, so it takes longer.
So thus it slows it down. So when you actually need to brake in an emergency situation or anything, for all of us to say, you know what, it doesn't really matter. I'm good driving with texting, or I'm good driving when I'm talking on the phone. We know that the person that's saying you never should do that, well, there's science behind that says, yeah, you know what, you're right. I just can't do things as fast. I might even 5 seconds, you might be like, oh, that's not a big deal, but it could, right? It could be. There have been times when I've been riding my bike in the city and, oh my God, I've almost gotten hit. And I've seen, people are on their phones and I'm like, damn it, get off your phone. And then here I do it too, I'm really bad on the highway. Like if I'm driving down to the Quad Cities to see my parents, But I do hands-free, which I don't know if that's much different, but goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow. Do you all want to say bye?
Brian said he's good.
Nick, say bye.
Bye.
Brian, Ann, come on. Say it in your world language class language.
Hasta mañana. Adios.
Ciao. Did we hear you have Italian?
No, French uses like the same word, but you can.